Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to the Blissfully Lit podcast. I'm your host, Sammy White, and it is my dearest pleasure to introduce a dear friend, Arick Davis. Today, Arick, welcome to our podcast.
Hey Sammy, it's so great to see you. So glad to be here.
It's so great to see you too. It's amazing the friendships that we build and different courses that we take all over the United States.
Yeah.
And we catch up, but we don't always see each other. And it's so beautiful to see your face.
Yeah, I mean, before we even get into the thing, I just want to like say here, like I appreciate you so much because I feel like every time we have these conversations, they're like always at the right time. And this is the first one on the podcast, but like every time we talk, it always feels like a blessing to me. So thank you.
Aw, it's such a blessing to me too. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Uh, I would love if you would start by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself and whatever sparks and you'd like to share with them.
Yeah, I've it's been so fun this year. I've just been like introducing part of my identity as blessed, so that's cool. That's a new identity I'm adopting. I'm growing, I'm learning. I'm a father, I'm a business owner. I live in Michigan. I'm actually planning to move to California in a little bit, so that'll be exciting. And yeah, just trying to be a positive impact on this earth.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Um, Before we dive in too deep, I would love if you could share what magic means to you and how it plays a role in your journey.
Yeah, I don't know that I've had to define magic before. I think I'm a engineer by training, so like the easiest way for me to describe it is like if everything we understand is science and everything we don't understand is God, like magic is kind of like what's in between. And like it's weird because it's not like glue, but like I'm a electrical engineering, so I'm thinking like Bluetooth waves. And it's like if you ever connected like Bluetooth devices, like there's Bluetooth kind of everywhere around you, but you can't necessarily connect to any Bluetooth or all the Bluetooth. You can kind of be like, cool, I know the code for this one, right? Like I know pranic killing or I know this thing. So I can like connect here, but I can't necessarily connect to all of the Bluetooth waves that are around me. And that's kind of how like the magic feel. It's like it's always there and it's like helping things happen, but we can't like connect into it and control it willy-nilly.
Yeah, I really like the representation that you gave it because in a way, like connecting with other people does feel that way.
Yeah.
Like you're connecting your Bluetooth device, then you're disconnecting, you're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you stay connected for
Yeah. Yeah. And both devices have to connect. Someone's trying to connect, and you're like, no, deny that one.
Uh, so, could you share a story of a turning point that transformed your life and maybe began or initiated your path toward conscious living?
Yeah, I think there's been so many moments for me. We met in a pranic healing class, and I think that's been the most serious my like turning towards like spirituality or like consciousness or conscious living have been. I found like Master Chakaksui in the pranic healing world through Master Co and through like a Tony Robbins event. I think before that, like I found yoga in high school, which kind of opened up the door to meditation to me. So that was like really great. I attended church like as a kid. But like where I if I was gonna like pick a turning point for like consciousness for me, there was actually this song that I heard in elementary school. It was like a rap song by Jay-Z called Money Ain't a Thing. And like I just remember being a kid and like it was the first time I had like a moment where I was like out of my body, just like looking at my life and being like, wait. I can decide like what happens. Like I can decide like what my life looks like regardless of the circumstances I was in or like what my family conditions were. Like I could make these choices. And I just remember that like in like elementary school as a kid. And I think that was like the first time I was like, oh, like I'm consciously living and like making decisions and able to control how my life is unfolding. So
Wow. How old do you think you were?
I was gonna Google when that song came out and I forgot, but I would say fourth, fifth, or sixth grade. So whatever age that is.
Wow. That's pretty amazing to realize at such a young age before even moving through adolescence.
Yeah, it definitely felt like
Hearing
a
people.
gift. So, and I was definitely a weird kid. So the more I reflect on that time, the more I'm like, that was interesting.
That's a weird time for most kids. I remember being extremely awkward at that time and really not knowing what I was doing.
Yeah, I remember like being one of my, I have a few like vivid memories, but one was like I went to a school with like mostly other black kids and everybody was like playing basketball. Like that was the thing to do during recess. And I just remember trying to convince everyone to play hide and go seek. And like I knew the most popular kids. So I was like trying to get the popular kids to like leave the basketball court and like go play hide and go seek. And I just could not convince them to do it. And it was just like, cool. So I just left and like went and played hide and go seek with the two kids I could convince to do it. And it was just like, even then, I was like, I just could not conform to what everyone else was doing. I just had to like be like, well, I really want to do this other thing. So I'm gonna go do that, even if y'all don't want to go do it.
Being the change maker at a young age.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that reflects in your life now as an adult?
I think it definitely shows up in my identity. I'm constantly trying to And I think it ties into my spiritual journey so much as well. Like I'm just trying to be myself. I'm not trying to, not like my external self, like not like the urges of the body or the urges of the ego or like society, but like really like what does like the core of me or like this like spiritual body underneath, like what is it actually trying to do? What is it actually trying to tell me? And I think that's what was happening then. And I think that's what's happening now. I'm just like more aware of it.
Yeah, I can understand allowing that to lead more. Or I think as one of our teachers, uh, Master Ko, he says, taming your horses
Yeah.
or something of the sort. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite analogies.
sometimes it feels that way though. I don't know if you've had moments where you're just overthinking a bunch of things or something emotional pops up from a long time ago and
Yeah.
you get a little wound up in it and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, no.
Yeah. Yeah. My mental horse is definitely the one that like needs the most taming. Like my brain would just love, and I think my brain still like craves to like just think all the time. I'm just like, no, like we have things to do. We can focus on this one thing. Like we're not gonna just be, thinking all day.
Yeah, I mean that means you have a very strong ajna and likely are very good at creating great ideas. So
Well, blessings to the teacher for the practice and the virtues and development. I certainly was not that way out of the womb. So,
oh yeah, same here. Uh, honestly, the practicing of the virtues and inner reflection have changed my life exponentially.
yeah, I need to get better at inner reflection. And I know it's more questions to get to, but it's like sorry if this isn't useful for everybody else listening to the podcast, but it's like I keep like kind of like poking myself because I'll be trying to be like loving kindness and not injury and like think of a time that I could have done something better. And I'm like, oh, I really can't think of a time. And then I think of like a silly example and I'm like, you are not perfect. Like you need to like stop that right now. And you need to figure out like where you can improve. So I need to get better at it.
Oh, well, sometimes it's just looking at it from a different perspective. Like digging a little bit deeper into what can loving kindness actually mean in non-injury, and how can you maybe dig into your mental body more with it? Like, how can you mentally be kind when a situation pops up or somebody cuts you off,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes you just don't think of that as a thing to reform or to learn from or what have you. And maybe it is something that can be improved.
Yeah.
Um, so I would love to hear about an extraordinary experience or synchronicity that you've encountered. It can be recently or it can be like an old one that just has always stayed fresh in your mind.
Yeah, I reflected on this one a little bit and like so this is like my favorite one and it's normally like part of a sad story, but there was just a lot of beautiful things that happened in it too. But I think this one is the favorite one for me because there was just like so many random things that happened for this to line up. But um I was living in Portugal doing like my study abroad experience. And I was in this organization called the National Society of Black Engineers, and I was the senator for my chapter. So I like had to be in person for this meeting in Anaheim, California. So I had to fly from Portugal to Anaheim, California. And there I'm like doing the networking thing. I meet like so many amazing people, like these great job opportunities were in my lap. And there was a bank there called Goldman Sachs, and I knew what Goldman Sachs was, but I was like, oh, they're a bank. Why do they need engineers? And I like went and like talked to this guy, and I literally was just like, well, why do you all need engineers? And they were like, great guy, like really just changed my life, was a mentor in a lot of ways, but he actually ended up giving me this job. This job, like, really changed my life and like changed my career trajectory and like completely shifted my entire perspective of the world. And then part of the reason I got the job was because one of the interviewers also was Portuguese. And it was just this whole like funny experience that I went from like not even being on the radar of this like massive company to like having this highest paying job of like anyone in my family ever. And it was just because, I asked someone a question and had some experiences in common and all of these small things lined up. And there were just so many pieces to that story that like I couldn't fake. Like if I would have talked to anyone else, it wouldn't have happened. If I would have, had a different study abroad experience, it wouldn't have happened. Like it was just like meant to be, and that was the way it's supposed to happen, and it changed my life in a lot of ways. So
That's incredible. Um I kind of like to call them like domino stories like that because it's
yeah.
like and then
Yeah. And then that job just had so many other ripple effects on my life from there, and it was just like so crazy.
um, that's so amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It's actually interesting to me and kind of synchronistic, so I'm going to bring it up that you brought up Portugal. It's ironically been in my field a little bit as I was moving to California.
Yeah.
Um, I also had somebody call me and like ask me if I wanted to go to Portugal and like help with this retreat and stuff. Then I was it's crazy. I was talking to another friend and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to Portugal and I'm helping start this thing." And then I ended up linking her up with that other person
Yeah.
about the opportunity because she was also going out there for the same reason. And it's been kind of whirling around. There's a retreat coming up out there with this teacher. I actually have a book sitting right here. So Av Nara,
Yeah.
and he's doing a retreat out there. He actually lives out there.
Oh, cool.
And he's a teacher that one of my really good friends introduced me to. And I've been reading his information, his books, and like watching him on YouTube. And I just think it's so funny that your synchronistic story starts with Portugal.
Well, these are all just threads, right? So I'm
I
sure there's something you're supposed to do with that. I don't know what.
think it's so funny. Um, so there's more synchronicity in life if you just allow it into your life.
Yeah.
Uh, what inspirations or teachings have significantly influenced your journey?
Yeah. I think like I mean, obviously, not obviously, I shouldn't say that, but their hot yoga practice has definitely, I think, been the deepest for me and like the most recent. Like the purification, like really understanding my own spiritual intuitions and things that are coming in, and like as a structure and like as a lifestyle, like that has to be top of mind for me. But like growing up, it was like so much of music. Like I would just like get all of this like crazy divine wisdom like from music. And it's been funny because as I've been like meditating and having deeper experiences, like I actually like have a harder time listening to music because there's so much other like stuff going in there. I'm just like, I can't really, sit and listen to the same songs that I used to. But growing up, I used to just hear and like feel like these like deep lessons and guidings from listening to music. So yeah.
Wow. Are there any specific artists that stand out
Oh,
that gave you?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Jay-Z was my favorite growing up. Had a big, long stint as like a Kanye West fan for a while, but the nature of that is that it's ever changing. And I think that those are definitely like the two for me, where if I was gonna like sit and journal out all day, there's like just so many like great nuggets in there. I wish I would have wrote some down. The one that is like one of my favorite quotes was just this idea of like don't go with the flow, be the flow. And it was just one of those things that like always stuck in my mind of like really understanding like what that means to like become one with everything that is moving and not necessarily to be pushed around by it and not to try to fight against it, but to like become one with it. Like definitely one of my favorite lines. Oh, and then Pharrell too. I like Pharrell a lot. He has a lot of great wisdom in some of his songs too. So
Yeah, I've heard Pharrell actually like writes a lot of music for other people too.
yeah.
That's amazing. And they're very inspiring. I've listened to some of their music and still even today I'll hear something I'm like, did
Yeah.
other people hear that? Because there's
That's
a
an
wisdom there.
That's another great synchronicity story. I ended up having dinner with him, and it was just like one of the craziest days of my life, but it's irrelevant.
I don't know, you just brought it up. What
Um, well, I think it was so cool because so I'm an entrepreneur. I had a business idea. I was doing this business competition. We didn't win the business competition at all, which is so funny. But I was talking with some of the people and they were like, oh, yada, yada, yada. Well, are you going to this dinner? And I was like, no, what dinner? And this happened to me in the past. It was just funny. You were like, oh, are you going to this dinner? I'm like, no, what dinner? And they're like, oh, you should come to this dinner. And I get to this dinner and there's like me and like 30 other people and Pharrell and all these other random people who I could mention that were just kind of like crazy. And, he's just telling us about life and business. And it was one of the coolest dinners of my life. And then we did it again a couple years later, and that one was even like crazier. So it was just like, for me, it's just about people, right? It's like having conversations, like having connections, and like taking a step back out of what you want. And kind of what we were talking about in the past, but I'm not trying to like force this outcome, but really just like being in the moment, being aware, like being involved and engaged, and not trying to be like, I really want this thing to happen my way. So,
yeah, like taking the will out of it and allowing that connection.
yeah,
Allowing that connection and getting to know who you're
yeah,
talking to.
yeah. It's like the Bluetooth. It's always there. You just gotta like, connect to the right signal.
Well, I mean, if you're putting a lot of will into it, I would imagine it would be like kind of sparky and it would like push,
Yeah,
right? And if
yeah,
you soften up and you like just add a little flow, oh, let's have a conversation.
yeah.
The thing naturally just occurs.
Yeah. And that was a funny full circle thing for me too, because like the first real concert I went to was a Jay-Z concert, and Pharrell and his band NERD was opening for him, and we were front stage, and I had my own experience with Jay-Z, but my best friend actually got to go on stage with Pharrell and like dance at that concert like a decade earlier. So it was just kind of funny that like we had these both like two touch points from different perspectives in life with this guy we both find some inspiration from. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's such a fun story.
Yeah. I
Thank you
think
for sharing it. I'm glad that
thanks.
So, as someone who inspires change, what messages do you generally try to convey to others who are seeking transformation?
Yeah, it was. I mean, that thing that I said earlier about like don't ever go with the flow, be the flow. Like I'm constantly trying to help people understand that. Another way of saying that for me came from Steve Jobs, and he just has this video that's basically like, or this recording where he's basically like, everything that is in the world around you was just created by another human that's like no smarter than you. And you can go and create all of those things too. And I do this leadership lesson locally. And I use this example of like in Grand Rapids, where the city was founded, is in Rosa Park Circle. And it's like literally some guy stood here, his name was Cam Paul, stood here and was like, this is Grand Rapids. And now we all call this city Grand Rapids. And like that was just a guy who really is no different than any of us. And not to try to tell people to like start a city or do anything crazy like that, but just to recognize within themselves that like they're no different. Like we're all of the same flesh, we're all of the same like divine spark. And if there is something in you, really find out what that is and try to understand it and try to be honest with it and then try to like nurture it and like bring it out. And it's again not to be anything you're not or try to be something for anyone else, but really to really understand who you are at your core, like at your soul level and like what your soul is trying to tell you and allow that to like come through and guide your life. And that's what I'm really trying to share
Yeah.
with as many people as I can.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful undoing and unfolding for people to realize their uniqueness and what they have to offer.
Yeah.
And we're always putting on these masks to blend in. And
Yeah. I know
it's
you didn't get I know you didn't get to prepare, but what's your answer to that question? What do you do?
I so similar. On my business card, it says find your light and shine. And I really like to inspire people to be their authentic self and like find what that is and find what fuels them and really embrace it. Embrace your uniqueness, embrace your skills, embrace what makes you you. Because, like you said, we're all equals, but
Yeah.
we were made the way we were made for a reason. And we do have a lot that we can bring to the earth individually and as a group. And we can thrive more as a group if we're all being our truest selves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's why these conversations are always so meaningful. Iron sharpens iron. We're in a little perpetual cycle here.
Yeah. Uh, what's your next big aspiration in your journey of conscious transformation?
Ooh, that's a great question. For me, I was looking at my notes and I don't know if I ever had a note for that question. I think like I'm moving to California. That's part of like my entrepreneur. I was gonna say entrepreneurial, which is a funny story, but that's part of like my entrepreneurial journey. And I've had this like business idea that I've wanted to work on for a long time. So I'm super excited to like really recenter that like vision or calling in my life. And for me, that's really just a test of it's so weird. I read the Bible occasionally and I try to go to church regularly. And there's all of these like things recently when I've been going to church about like praying to God and like listening to God's voice and all of this stuff. And so often there's kind of like this trope or this story of like, well, cool, God tells you to do this thing, and then you're like, oh, well, like that thing I'm kind of uncomfortable with. Like, like thank you, for like coming and like thank you for all the cool stuff, God. But like that thing that you're asking me to do, like that's uncomfortable. I don't really want to do that. So it's just been fun for me through the lens of my spiritual practice to be like, well, I really feel like this thing has been like sitting in my aura for a while and like there's no like actually negative or like real reason not to pursue it. I've just kind of let like fear and other people's expectations like kind of cloud my reasoning around it. So it does feel certainly like a spiritual practice for me to like have that awareness around it and then to kind of trust the process of doing it. And for me, doing it doesn't mean like success. Doing it means if it's in my aura, kind of trusting that it's there for a reason and through like different challenges in life, through different cleansing, through different like cleanses, um, it's like kind of stayed there and it's like, oh, cool, like, you sweep it, you test it, and it's like, well, like I feel like this is a good thing for me to do. So yeah, I don't know if that really answers the question, but it feels like in action, I'm like trusting what I'm sensing and putting energy into it. So,
You're trusting what you're sensing and putting energy into it. I'm curious what your endeavor in California is.
oh, it's super cool. So I mean, ultimately, I am looking for jobs right now, like at fintech companies. I'm also planning on doing my MBA. So there's some programs out there that I'm super excited about applying for next year. And then the business that I'm ultimately working towards, like the short version, is I want to build an alternative mechanism for our entire economy to function. So basically, I want people to actually get like ownership in businesses when they spend money. So it's like you bought a bottle of Fiji water, like how cool would it be if you automatically just like owned equity in that company? And then what would that do for our society if all of us as consumers had a voice and influence in the companies that we were empowering with our money? So,
I love that. That's such a
yeah,
great one.
it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be great fun. Well, thank you for sharing that, and I look forward to meeting you in person once you're out
Oh,
here.
yeah. Yeah, that'll be great.
How exciting. So, do you have any words of wisdom for our listeners today? Anything that's just coming through to share with them? Maybe those that have just started their journey, or maybe this is the first time they've listened to anything remotely about conscious change and spirituality.
Yeah, I think it's so important to me that people, and I think it'll be important to them as well. But to take a moment and like do the self-reflection and do like the radical self-honesty and like create the space for that, like understand how you got to where you are, understand where you want to go, like what you're willing to do to kind of get to that next step. And like, I think that radical self honesty and that time for reflection just serves people so well so that they're not just falling into the next trend, so that they're not just like, oh, I heard this thing and now I'm, running towards this wall or something like that. And like, sure, maybe that has its benefit, but I think when you want to talk about like really getting a deep spiritual connection and like real consistent like progress and momentum in anything, I think when you really know like your why and like what's moving you, that time for self-reflection and self-honesty is going to serve people so well. So I would say start there, write it down so you don't forget it, and just like you said, try and test things and see how it feels. And if it feels good, keep doing it. If it feels bad, try to understand why and tweak something.
Yeah, that's a really good point and great advice for people to start doing because there are many mechanisms in place right now that keep people sort of locked in a bubble of like technology and trends and are you really making these choices on your own or are these choices somewhat um, being guided and who's guiding your choices? And I think that's a big question to ask yourself in your reflection. Who is guiding your choices?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question.
Yeah. And journal about it and see what you find.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect in any way, shape, or form, but every time that I realize that I made a decision from an external influence or circumstance, it helps me to learn and understand myself so much better.
Yeah, I have like journaling has been a struggle for me for so long, and I still don't journal the way I think I should journal. But it has been so powerful when you just even write down those like singular thoughts, because then when you go back and you're just like doing reflection, it helps so much as an anchor. So I want to just be another voice telling people to at least try it and like write some things down and like on an actual piece of paper and just have it there and just see what it does for you. So
Yeah. It's huge. I am a pretty big journaler and have been for years, and I have like 2 to 3 journals every year.
that's cool.
It's so cool to go read them at the end of the year and reflect on what happened and how that changed you, or I mean, even just to see how much you changed in a matter of months. It's incredible, and it's little things to celebrate because we always get caught up in the next thing and the next thing and our goals and I want to do this, I want to do that. Where am I? And when you step back and you reflect and you appreciate what you've accomplished, you come back to the moment and that awareness, and you really find your truth.
Yeah. Where did you start with your journaling practice and where are you at now?
Where did I start? Um, I would say I've always been a journaler. Um, it was probably during college years, which was maybe about 10 years ago. Um, it was more once a month, maybe every other weeks, kind of flaky like that, just here and there. And it was about life. Sometimes it was about experiences. I always journal experiences. Like I've had crazy spiritual experiences my whole life, and I always journal about them. Um, and more recently, when I started my meditation practice, I would say it started to be more of a maybe a couple times a week, sometimes daily, depending on what's going on, what's unfolding that week. Um, but definitely a lot during the month.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's short. I mean, sometimes it's a little paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now are you journaling like daily or just like how often would you say you're doing it, in the month of November?
Mm. I just finished a journal because I was journaling so much. But it just depends on what experiences I'm going through. I did a road trip to California from Indiana, and I was journaling every night
Oh,
during my trip. And since I've been here, I've been journaling a lot because I've had so many experiences and things that need to be remembered.
yeah.
Sometimes during meditation, sometimes just like synchronicities popping up in life.
Yeah.
Um, and I carry it around with me. So if I go for a nature hike or maybe I want to go read somewhere, I'll bring the journal with me, and sometimes stuff will come up to journal. My alternative to that, for those of you who are very much into your technology, I do voice memos because sometimes I'm out and about and it just doesn't make sense and I don't have a journal and I have stuff that comes to me. And sometimes that stuff that comes to you doesn't come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, voice memos are really great to record them. Or you can text yourself. That does work too.
Or text a friend.
Yeah. But
I like doing that. I have
recording
fun. Oh,
is
sorry.
important. What were you saying?
Not all of those are great. I think just sometimes I just have fun. Like I'll just have a random thought and I'll text it to a friend, like so I can like write it down or something later. But then also it like is a conversation with her, like, why did you text me this random thing? And I was like, oh, cool. Like, let's talk about it. So,
I remember I made a friend that way. I think I put why meditate in a doorway, and then all of a sudden we're friends.
yeah, that's cool.
You just never know what will happen.
Yeah.
Uh, so where can our listeners find and follow your work?
Yeah. I mean, I use the social media mostly like LinkedIn. I am like in the process of moving to, like I said, California. So I'm like looking for a job out there and stuff. So I'm on LinkedIn a lot right now. I think my email is probably the best way. I do own a coffee business called Last Mile Cafe. So people can look at that. It's lastmile.cafe. And then my email is arick@lastmile.cafe. So that's the easiest way for people to get in touch with me.
Great. And I'll share links underneath in the description for those of you who need those. So before we close out, we'll do a little mindful meditation just to connect and really appreciate the moment that we're sharing together because this has been so blissful and so wonderful. And it's such a pleasure to have you here today, Eric.
Thank you, Sam. It's so great.
So, those of you who are driving or operating machinery, I would recommend that you pull over or perhaps pause and come back to this later. Otherwise, those of you sitting, standing, find a comfortable position where you're supported. Um, Try to keep your spine erect and not pressed against anything. And focus on your pelvic floor, your pelvic bowl, and just find an even sitting. So if you have your legs crossed, go ahead and uncross your legs. Plant your feet. Find the solidarity. Maybe you cross your legs and sit like a yogi. Find that comfortable position where you are supported and your spine is long. An imaginary line pulls through the top of your head, pulling your spine up, up, up. You might feel your chest lift a little bit. We oftentimes lean forward. Take a big deep breath, sigh it out. Another big deep breath and sigh it out. And bring your palms face up on your lap. And just imagine your breath as a white light. Inhaling that white light into all parts of your being, shining gloriously. And sighing out clouds of that which no longer serves you. Inhaling that beautiful white light in. And exhaling. Feeling with every breath lighter and brighter and more at ease. And notice your breath pace slowing down. Allow your breath to ease into a normal rhythm, bringing your awareness to your forehead, rolling your eyes up, and bring your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And just allow whatever happens to happen. If you find the mind is still active, follow the breath with your awareness, not controlling it. And start to focus on the space between each breath. Notice that that space gets bigger and brighter. And gently lean into it with your awareness. Feel the bliss, feel the peace, and slowly bring your awareness back to your body. You may feel tingling in your fingers and your toes. Bringing that awareness back, back, back. And finding that peace in your body, knowing that you are safe and you are held. Slowly bring your awareness back to the base of the spine. Imagine a root of light coming from the base of your spine down to the earth, connecting you to the earth. And that beautiful root of light shines brightly. And just appreciate Earth and all that Earth has done for you and will do. And slowly bring your awareness back up your spine, back to the crown of your head. Noticing that light above your head, seeing that you are that bright light. And slowly bring your awareness down to your heart. And smile. Think about someone you love. And express gratitude that they are a part of your life. I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you for joining us today. And slowly open your eyes with a big, big smile. Thank you, thank you. Namaste, all. Thank you, Arick, for sharing your incredible insights and your inspiring journey as it unfolds. It's been truly a gift to have you.
Yeah, thank you for creating this space. And yeah, it's been so wonderful. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And to all these lovely beings listening, stay blissful and stay lit.
Oh,
Until
yeah.
next time. We are grateful for you.